It is a Tuesday morning, February 9th. Lawsuit filed against the DA of LA County by his own prosecutors, arguing that the new policy the DA has, no special enhancements, for example, double murders, gang affiliation, that sort of thing, the prosecutor said you can't do that, even after he ordered it. And a judge just ripped into the DA and said, that's right, you can't do that. Todd Spitzer, who is the district attorney of Orange County, who obviously is not defense counsel the way George Gascon is, our DA in LA County. Todd, we're coming back, and you were one of the examples you were going to bring up, and then I want to get into a little bit of the politics, is a three strikes law.
Yeah, so I covered what happens with old cases in the earlier segment, and I tried to foreshadow what might happen with future prosecutions, and if the DA can insert discretion as opposed to cookie-cutter boilerplate, dispositions in all cases per these directives, then he's probably going to be home free, because that's what the judge said. You can't take away a prosecutor's discretion. But three strikes. Let me tell you what no one's been talking about. I did this research last night. I had to remind myself, Bill, 1994 in California, we passed three strikes. In 2012, George Gascon came forward and hosted and sponsored an initiative amendment that required the third strike to also have to be a serious and violent felony. Before then, the third strike, if you had two prior serious or violent felony strikes, the third one could be any felony. That passed. Guess who signed the initiative that reaffirmed you must file all strikes in every case? George Gascon. And he said in his ballot statement, you know how we get our ballot pamphlet? He goes, this has been so carefully crafted that truly dangerous criminals will receive no benefits whatsoever from the reform. Repeat criminals will get life in prison for serious or violent third strike crimes. Guess what? He doesn't want to charge them, Bill. He told us in 2012 that if you support my reform, I will be there for you to uphold the law and enforce these strikes.
All right, so let me ask this, regarding three strikes. It seems to me that third felony would have to be violent in order to enable a judge to impose 25 years in prison. And isn't that mandatory?
True. No, the question presented in the lawsuit was, do they have to allege the prior convictions to get to the third strike? Are prosecutors required by law to allege all prior convictions? The prosecutors are saying the law doesn't give us any wiggle room. George Gascon in 2012 reaffirmed that in Proposition 36. And the judge agreed. He said, you don't have any wiggle room. The only person that can strike a strike is a judge after you present it in a court of law, or after you plead them in your complaint that new evidence shows you cannot go forward.
All right, Todd, I mean, that's I know that's important, but I think a lot of people are asking, or at least I am, the far-ranging politics of this. The movement across the country where DAs are moving into actually being pro-suspect, pro-defendant. You want to talk about that for a moment? And I know yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Chesa Boudin got elected. He was a public defender, a career public defender in San Francisco. He's now the district attorney. Larry Krasner, he's the district attorney of Philadelphia.
What's going on, Todd?
I can tell you, Bill, there's huge money now, okay? Huge money coming out of tech, all kinds of industries. There's huge money that's trying to influence the change of prosecutors. Why? Because we're the ones that decide what charges are going to be filed, and there's a movement in the nation to argue, right, Black Lives Matter and others, that we engage in mass incarceration and the justice system is slanted as against people of color. I will tell you, Bill, I agree. We have engaged in systemic mass incarceration. We need to get off of that and stop it. And as a prosecutor, I will stop it. We need to stop prosecuting a people of color differently. I am committed and will stop that. I'm doing that in Orange County. But what I will not allow to happen, Bill, is that victims are getting railroaded in Los Angeles. They're getting railroaded across this country. You know, I co-wrote Marcy's Law and was a statewide campaign manager for it, and we are not going to tolerate that victims are not going to be protected in our community. And look what's happening in L.A. Murders up 136%. Shootings are up 260%. Gang homicide is up 266%. You think this is working, Bill, in Los Angeles? I will not let this happen in Orange County.
All right, so when we throw those stats out, the philosophy of no cash bail, for example, reducing sentencing, all based on the fact, as Gascon says and others, the system is broken the way it's working or not working now. How do you respond to that?
I completely agree. And that's why I'm so frustrated, because George has not come forward to engage all his colleague prosecutors like me, all 57 of us in the other counties in California. Bill, we must fix this criminal justice system. I do agree it has been systemically racist. It needs to change. I was a cop, as you know, after I worked for you.
So let me ask you, I know.
We need to change it.
So how do you change it? Give me 3 ideas right now that you have.
You absolutely look at the individual. Instead of a cash bail where there's an automatic dollar amount applied to the crime charged, you look at the person's risk. You look at what their background is and whether they can be let out and have comfort they're not going to commit a new crime. So you don't base it upon just the crime. You look at the whole defendant or the whole person charged with a crime. You also make sure that you keep your statistics in your office, and you look at whether or not you are prosecuting people of color differently than people who are not of color. And you are required to and must not infuse in any way systemic racism. I am eliminating from my prosecutor's filing the race of the defendant when that is submitted by the police department, because it should be irrelevant. And lastly, in jury selection, you must not eliminate people of color from your jury if you have a defendant of color just because you don't think they can be fair. That is racist. It's inappropriate. So we are changing things, and I am bringing those changes to the criminal justice system. But you don't do it the way George Gascon did it. You don't do it through directives that say you will do it my way or else. And a judge said you can't do it.
All right, Todd, thank you. Always great insight. Enjoy yourself. Prosecute some criminals for me today, okay?
All right, I will. Thanks,
All right,
Bill.
take care.